we're going to do kind of a grab bag. I got 3 things that I want to show Ryan and get his opinion on, which I think are pretty interesting in the world of sound and recording and all that stuff. So yeah, welcome to the show. Should we just get started, or do you want to say anything before we get started?
Let's just jump right into it.
All right, so up first, there's a company called Scope Labs, and they make a product called the Periscope. And it's this brass tube, really industrial looking microphone with a built-in compressor, like the Listen mic compressor on a console. It's just this really weird mic.
Yeah, what's that steampunk first page thing? Like this guy's holding a brass. I mean,
yeah, like
I need to
this
record
guy in
with
the
that.
costume definitely looks like a steampunk guy, but
or like a pirate or something.
yeah, it's like, do you remember there was that the mod for the 57 to get a right angle?
Yeah, I remember that.
So
yeah.
they got that aspect of it.
Okay. Is there a reach around joke to be made here, or should I just wait till later?
Could be. All right. So first of all, since Ryan can't hear it, I'll describe what I'm hearing, and there will be links in the show notes to watch this video. Everything we talk about will have links. Well, actually, no, the scam websites we won't have links.
There will not be links.
But for this,
everything worth looking at will have links.
This is a unique take on a microphone. It's a special effect microphone. It's something that should definitely not be your first microphone because it has a very effecty kind of sound. Like, you know how you would use a megaphone for a megaphone effect. This is a special sort of like talkback mic effect, but it's not tied to a console. You don't need to, you don't have to have an open talkback mic on your console to record your snare drum. That's just impractical. So they've got this interesting looking mic, this kind of unique shape that you don't often see with microphones. By the design of it, I think it's an electric condenser, plus it has a built-in compressor. So it's got this really aggressive mid-range heavy sound pretty decent if you come to expect it to have a certain character. It's just a very obvious sort of special effect mic.
So is this like a pre-built shit mic for drum tracking? Like when we were talking about drum tracking, when you were at that studio by your house on the East Coast,
yeah, they
had like a harmonica mic, and then they would place that under the snare or somewhere and then just compress it hard. And you get this really trashy, gross sounding, but then when you mix it in with the overall track, it sounds phenomenal, and you'd miss it if it were gone.
It's exactly that, yeah. There's a ton of examples on here. They've got it on vocals and brass instruments, upright bass, drums. I think they've got one example where it's in they've got 2 of them running in stereo for overheads or room mics. And yeah, just this really almost distorted, aggressive sound. So mid-range heavy sound. So it's interesting. The thing is, often these special effect mics are like, bottom of the junk drawer type mics, eBay finds, garage sale finds. This is like, I'm pretty sure it's $200.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not selling many.
No, it's even more. There's a purple one. But yeah, they're like $400.
$400.
No, 400, what is it, euros? 400 euros plus VAT.
Well, I don't know who's doing better right now. So I don't know the conversion, but that's still somewhere in the range of $400.
It's in the range of forget about it. It's so expensive. What was your go-to weird mic? It was the Sony
F98, I think.
F98.
And I think that's probably back down to a couple dollars on the eBay.
Yeah.
How much is it going for?
This will give you a special effect type sound. You can find mics like these plastic body mics that you'll have to replace the cable on because they're like 80 years old.
Well, this one actually sounds kind of okay. This Sony one, it's not horrible, but I found some dollar store mics that were just trash. Those ones are great. But this one, like if you push it hard and distort it with the preamp and maybe even put some distortion effects on it, sounded really cool. It's not a fantastic sounding mic, but surprisingly not bad, this one. There are plenty, and the harmonica mic's fantastic.
This one, way too much money. This is just way too much money to be...
Who's their market?
To really recommend. It's for the guy that's I guess he's got everything. He's got a great sound already. He's got a crystal clear, pristine sound.
Yeah, this is like a high-end studio. It's like, look at these funny mics I got. And
yeah,
they're just throwing money away because you can get that effect anywhere.
DIY isn't tolerated, maybe? You've got to
Well, you have the DIY sound, but a nice aesthetic.
Yeah, something like that.
So I get that because you don't want to be in a professional studio, even if they're like, oh, I've got this great shit mic sound. You don't want to pull out some contraption that you built in the garage that has, wires hanging off it and looks like garbage. So I could see a use case for that. I hope they only expected to sell 12 of those.
It doesn't look expensive to make, particularly. I mean, it looks just like hardware store pipe. It's probably not. They probably made it custom. But if you could get an electric mic, fit it to a pipe, put in a little phantom-powered compressor circuit, doesn't have to sound good.
Also, a great murder weapon.
Let's move on from there. The next topic, I don't know what else to say about this.
There's nothing else to say.
It's kind of cool, but it's way too expensive.
I do want to play with one, but I just don't see a market for that.
What I would like to talk about next is
the Sorny and the magnet box.
Buying a audio interface on Amazon can be a little tricky if you don't know the brands already. If you're new to home recording, you've never bought an audio interface before, you've never been able to go to a local guitar center or something like that. If you go on Amazon, search for audio interface, you don't have to scroll far before you find things that are, to us, is just obviously fake.
And this is relatively new.
Yeah, I don't know how many years that these things have been on the market, but on my screen right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 that are fake.
They probably
clones
work.
Or something. They probably work, but they can't possibly.
Well, they might even
like
be made
or
on the same exact factory line in China. And these are repackaged rebrands of potentially the same circuit. But also, we don't know that
could
at all.
be. They could just be filled with toxic waste. It's just a way to ship toxic waste from China to US.
Back to the US.
Yeah. This looks like a Focusrite Scarlett Solo. So we've got one XLR input for a mic, phantom power switch, and we've got a DI input for a guitar. Very basic USB jack on the back and left and right out. And that looks exactly the same as the Focusrite, other than this text at the top, which says USB audio interface with a mic preamplifier. I mean, it is that technically, but it's also not an original design that is worth paying for.
Yeah, it's a clone, and we have no idea what the guts are, and if it even sounds the same or even close. I would not trust. What are the reviews? Yeah, one guy really liked
these
it.
Reviews, tons of 1-star reviews, and then honestly, you have no idea with some of these reviews. I don't trust 5-star reviews on Amazon. I bought a lot of stuff over the past year that comes with like gift card offers in the box. If you give this a 5-star review and then send them a link, they'll send you back like $20.
Wow.
On like a $50 product or something. Like, how are they making money? Like somewhere in there, like it's
because it cost them $2 to make.
I guess. And I mean, to ship to Canada, $20 shipping, fine. Like it's under $100. If we look for the actual product, the Focusrite Scarlett Solo, currently sold out, but it's maybe $40 more. It's going to be better made. It's going to have drivers made for the product. Not,
warranty.
Very generic, or like you need to use ACO for all on Windows. So yeah, it'll have like a 2-3 year warranty. So it's worth going with a real company like Focusrite. Hate to say it, even Behringer makes a decent interface these days.
Yeah. But yeah, knowing what brands, PreSonus, which one are you using now?
I'm using Arturia. So I don't think anyone's cloned them yet. M Audio. Mm-hmm. So there's this one here with the 4 knobs on top. And if we scroll down here, there's a There's a 3-knob one. I think if I search here, there is this is the 3-knob one from M Audio, the M-Track Solo. Actually, pretty decent interface for the $50.
That's amazing to buy an interface for $50 now.
Oh yeah, when we first got into this, my first real audio interface, I think I had the Personas Firebox, and that was like $500. Right after I started school, I needed a Pro Tools interface, and so I didn't buy the cheapest one. I bought the like $1,800 one. So
yeah, and I had a 002, which I mean they were expensive. They were thousands of dollars. Just because I needed more than 4 channels. Not good. Yeah,
they're just really not good either.
But yeah, anything that's $50 now would have as good converters as the $2,000 thing we bought when we first started this.
Easily, yeah. They're just so much better. The Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 was one of the kind of the major, I don't know, landmarks, or it was kind of where the prices of everything just dropped once that one came out. Like, because it was easily the same quality as like an M box, but it wasn't tied to Pro Tools. Anyone could use it. Pretty low noise preamps, inputs and outputs that are easy to use. They were one of the first companies to use the combo jacks. So instantly it's much smaller, and then good software bundle included with it. So even though I don't particularly like them, they're decent interfaces for most people getting started. I know you're using one right now.
Right now. Yeah, I'm using the 6i. That's just my bedroom one that just stays here all the time. And then my son has a Solo on his desk for his monitors, and he's doing his own recording now to do his animation with just a 58. You know, I use them for on stage for playback. I have 2 2i2s in a rack for 2 separate machines for playback on set, and they work great. Just using them as a USB to audio out, XLR out.
They're super solid, low noise interfaces, work great with condenser mics, and sometimes you need a boost for a dynamic mic.
Loud lifter.
Yeah, or any number of those.
Any
we'll
of the other
do a
17.
show on all those. One of the things that they do really well, the Focusrite ones, is the low latency monitoring. They make it really simple. They even have a mono button.
But yeah, don't buy one of those knockoff brands. You only save $30-$40, and it's just a complete unknown. So if you're looking to buy an interface, just familiarize yourself with just common brands, and don't go too far off that path.
You can always ask us if you're confused. Don't go with the bare bones cheapest one, especially if you see something that looks the same but is $20 cheaper for apparently no reason. It's just to get your money. So literally there to make you buy twice. Next up, N Audio, the famous company.
So close.
Yeah, it was like, can I copy your homework? It's like, yeah, just make sure you change it so it doesn't look like you're copying.
So yeah, take one of those legs off that M. I
came across this company on Alibaba, which is kind of like swap meet version of Amazon. M Audio created monitors called the BX5A and the BX8s. And even, I don't know if these are still available.
I had the 8s. They're not great, so I don't know why you'd want to copy them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is new old stock and they just changed.
That would be amazing if it's the same company. I would love that so much. They're just getting rid of their old shit.
Yeah. Here we go. BX5 Carbon. And then here's N Audio's BX5 Carbon.
Yeah, so the Carbon's their new style. This is, so those look like my old speakers, the ones, the N Audio. And then the M Audio is the updated version of their previous line.
They very well could be the exact same factory, factory seconds or something like that. But it's just funny that it's like the same thing, but just very slightly different.
If you weren't extremely familiar, you might go, oh, N Audio, cool, yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust this company at all. Little mixer. This looks like the Behringer.
Yeah, they're copying everybody. They're not even staying in their own lane. That's not an M Audio product.
This audio interface is kind of an original looking product, but they call it the Audio Box, which is the Presonus product name. One image.
There it is.
This is not a rack size.
No, it's not.
Why does it have rack ears?
Doesn't
I just
really.
love these weird rabbit holes you can go down when you're trying to save some money on a product, and you're like, oh, I wonder if Alibaba has something the same, or I don't even know how I got here. I was looking up the mic booster things, ended up on Alibaba to see like if one weird brand had like variations on Alibaba, and
those mic booster circuits
like,
are so simple. It's just a JFET amplifier that is a known quantity in electronics that's super easy to build. Might just want to buy some parts. It's like 5 or 6 parts. Solder them together.
Yep. Yeah, this looks pretty similar to the this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it's got rack ears that don't fit in a rack.
The buttons are in the same place, different knobs, same.
But it's got wings.
Blue color, but it's got wings. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, again, maybe it's the same factory, but more likely it's copying homework.
Oh, yeah. And poorly. And some of these products that they're copying weren't extremely well built in the first place. I mean, the corners they had to have cut. And
yeah, it's not like they're taking a top of the line product and then making that cheaper, which maybe has some value, but they're taking the cheapest product and making it cheaper.
And the biggest cost in these products is the body, the metal, the power supplies. Like the actual guts is a circuit board, and they're cheap. So that's probably where they're cutting the quality, is in the least expensive part, because that body that it's sitting in is the most expensive part of the entire build.
I have a hard time understanding why these companies exist. You know?
Well, obviously they make money, and it's probably a low overhead, and it is probably overflow from a factory and the rebranding, and it cost them nothing other than scribbling different silk screening on there.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to this? Should we do one more topic?
Sure.
So a few years ago, SSL came out with kind of a desktop compact mixer made for hybrid workflow called the 6. And so you get 2 mic preamps, a couple line inputs, a couple faders, a talkback mic, kind of, like a
full command center.
The master section of a console, plus a couple channel strips, a couple mono and a couple stereo channel strips. And I guess it did pretty well, but they just recently announced the Big 6, which is just kind of 2 more of everything, looks like. So it is also a USB interface.
Nice.
Not just an analog mixer where you still need another thing, but yeah, this can't be cheap. But if you want the SSL sound, you want to get that through tracking. Well, I guess you can get a lot of that through bouncing it out through here. So we got 8 channels of stereo that you could probably bounce out of through the preamps.
Do some summing.
Compressor. Does it have compressors? It does have a little compressor. It doesn't look like the full like SSL.
Yeah, I would probably use that more for tracking and then for controlling your studio and having great sound to listen back through. It'll track beautifully.
It's one of those things that would probably impress some clients coming in. And it's one of these things that you like, if you buy something from SSL, it's going to be reliable, and it just kind of levels up everything in your studio. So let's hit the buy button and see.
I still have my SSL converter. I still use it. Still going strong.
So 3,700 Canadian. So that'll be 29 US.
Still plenty. So over $3,000.
Or the smaller one, quite a bit less, 1,500 less.
Yeah, well, it's half as much stuff.
Makes sense. I mean, you'd pay $1,000 per channel for preamps.
Yeah, for good preamps. Yeah.
That's not too unreasonable.
No, and you get 8 in there?
The Big 6 is 4 preamps And then there's some line inputs for up to there's 12 channels total.
Yeah.
Plus
that's a fantastic
plus
deal
a center,
for SSL quality.
plus a bus compressor. I totally missed that.
Oh,
plus
there
a
you
bus
go.
compressor.
So yeah, and if it's that classic SSL bus compressor, that's worth its weight in gold.
Kind of a stripped down version of it, just like an auto release. It doesn't look like there's attack and release controls on it, but if it gets you there most of the time, well, it gets you that sound in fewer steps and looks like it's worth it. I don't know if you've seen this. This came out in the last couple of years. Basic 2-channel audio interface with a kind of a classic SSL sound with a button press. So it's like a clean preamp, press for some color, decent amount of gain on it, the combo jacks for all the inputs.
I did see that. I considered having that on my desk here at home, just in my room.
Yeah, there's just the SSL2, and then it jumps up to the 6.
Okay.
So this is a couple $100. So my local store here, $4.39 Canadian, so $3.99 maybe.
So yeah, so all I need in my room is just one mic preamp, and I mean mostly using it for these kind of things, Zoom calls and video conferencing, and then just tracking some minor stuff, and just having good stereo output to my monitors.
I've been noticing a lot of interfaces have this monitor section. I've been seeing a lot fewer rack mount interfaces, and almost everything's USB again. So it was like, when we got started, you had to get FireWire, or else you couldn't get low latency.
Well, because USB 3.
A lot of them aren't even USB 3. I'll show you the one I'm using now. Arturia Audio Fuse. And so this is a super compact interface. 2 mic preamps or line inputs. It has a reamp box. It has a phono preamp. It has inserts. It has a monitor controller. It has a software mixer, a knob for direct monitor.
That's incredible to cram that much in there.
Oh yeah, it's tons. It has a built-in mic boost on each of the preamps. It will run bus powered or with external power, and the main difference is a different amount of gain. I think maybe the channel count is different. I never used it bus powered, but it will work with iOS. It also has all the digital inputs, so it's got two in and out for SPDIF, and in and out for ADAT.
Wow, that's like every checkbox.
Yeah. And a talkback mic. So it's pretty nuts.
Latency's good?
Yeah, latency is good. Yeah, and really no complaints about it. In the summer, it gets extremely hot because the outer shell is the heat sink.
Yeah.
But apparently that's normal.
And there's a ton of stuff going on there.
Exactly. And they have a couple different versions of it. If you're traveling, there's a little lid for it. It's kind of cute. This has been really great. The other interface, the one that I'm talking to you on now is this one, is the Elgato Wave XLR, which I wouldn't recommend for music production, but for working with OBS, making videos, stuff, this has been excellent. And they just updated the software to allow hosting VSTs. So I've got TDR Nova and RX denoiser on my mic going into OBS. So it saves a lot of time. I can just compress it a little bit after. And this one lacks monitoring options. No TRS outs, just this 1/8" headphone jack. But yeah, like 75 dB of gain works great. Like I don't have my SM7B all the way up.
Wow.
And it sounds good.
And that's a gain hungry mic.
It is. Clip guard option is automatically detects distortion and reduces the level, something like that. Built-in low cuts and stuff like that.
Wow. It's funny how we both kind of move towards video production and how that changes the gear we use, and it changes the workflow. We're kind of moving out of that traditional home studio thing and into a little more specialized gear for video production.
Yeah. For most of this year, I was actually using a USB mic because it was just a lot simpler to have a USB mic connected to my PC to do the recording. And then I had my audio fuse and had all the inputs and outputs dedicated to a Reaper Mac so I can run the DAW and not have to worry about loopback software adding latency or adding crackles and stuff like that. So that was kind of a necessity. With the USB mics, it's like you never quite get the sound you're looking for with that, but it's just a matter of convenience. And really, one of the main things that made me stop with that is that I couldn't find a shock mount that worked with that mic. And so just if I touch the desk, I type or anything like that,
Rumble.
it's just this gross rumble that I had to like manually edit out of every other word.
Everything.
So
we could also talk about my new audio interface. It does have 2 in, 2 out over USB.
yeah.
So this is the Sound Devices Scorpio. This is their newest mixer recorder. And this thing is a beast. It does all of the things that I have like 2 or 3 different rigs, actually 3 different setups for. I have my bag rig. I have a small bag rig that has a USB interface on the small bag for doing Zoom calls with latency. And then I have a full cart rig that does Dante and a big Yamaha mixer. This crams all of that into this one box, which is insane. So it has 16
12
microphone
channels, is that right? Oh,
no,
16.
16 microphone preamps, not just line ins, but actual preamps or line in. 32 channels in and out over Dante. It's got 4 channels in of AES and then 8 channels of AES out. There's a little module that you can get 8 more channels of AES in that you can attach to the top. It's got USB in and out, 2 channels in and out, so you can just run a USB cable straight to a computer and have your entire mix onto a Zoom call. It's got 8 auxes. It's got an individual out for every aux. I mean, the features on this thing are insane. So I just built this into a cart. I have hardwired in 12 channels of wireless, analog, and then everything else in and out will be over Dante. And then 4 more analog out that I'll have access to.
It looks pretty nuts. Is the size appropriate, you think, for how much is packed in here? Like, do you want it this small?
Yeah, so this you can also have in a bag setup. So this is the exact same size as my other mixer. So the audio bag I can just wear on my chest. It's this big. It'll fit in the bag, and it's yay long. So it could just pop in the bag, and I can have this doing all of that on the run with a battery.
And I see switches here for like channel 1 and channel 7.
Mm-hmm. So that'll switch, that one switch, you switch to the left, it'll give you all your settings for channel 1. Switch it to the right, that little small mixer below it, that'll give you all your options for channel 7. And you have gain and mix on all 12 channels on front. So
then there's a whole strategy for like what you put where, of course, as well, right?
On this one, that's great. Channel 1, when you plug in your XLR, is not linked to channel 1. You can send that to any of the channels. So you can say
are these
what
all
inputs.
Digital? Are these all digital controls?
Yeah.
Then?
Yep.
Okay.
So analog ins and outs, but all digital control.
Yeah, you can choose the I/O separate from the controls scheme. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Adds a lot of complexity, I guess. But
major amount of complexity. But then also I can build aux mixes. What's different about this one too than my previous mixer, I have not just low roll off, but I have full EQ. I have compression in addition to the limiting that was on the previous one. There's also mix assist, and there's also Dugan auto mix.
Nice.
Everything that's built into this is absolute insanity. So this does what I used to have, a full cart of gear with a big mixer and a big recorder and just a lot of weight that I had to lift and build all in this one little unit now.
Can you explain the auto mix and mix assist functions real quick? Can you summarize those?
Yeah, so basically you can have all of your channels up and give a certain amount of weight to each person based on how they speak, and it will automatically give you a perfect mix if you get your settings right. And it's not that hard to get them dialed in, but you can kind of tweak. And it will, whoever's talking, bring the other people down a few dB. And so it's just like being able to mix a conversation where it's unscripted. You don't know who's going to say what when. It'll do it for you. And it doesn't drop everyone out. It's not like a gate where it cuts off the mic. It will just bring everyone else down several dB so that other person just stands out a little bit more. So it just brings down the background noise. Because when you have just 8 mics up on a stage and stages are just noisy, it's not a studio environment, just having all 8 mics up, it amplifies all that background noise. So just being able to duck those even a few dB, it makes everything that much more clear.
Awesome.
So I haven't even used the feature on there yet.
I'd love to hear a demo of that sometime.
For
if
sure.
you could get like 30 seconds of 8
Yeah,
mics
I could
up,
turn it on or off during a
talking,
rehearsal.
Or if you have something pre-recorded, maybe run it through with and without, and just to hear the rebalancing that it does. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to use that because there are situations where I will have 6 or 8 mics up and I have no idea who's going to say what, when. And I do my best to get a decent mix, but there's just no knowing. So the auto mix makes a big difference.
Awesome. Super cool. And I'll put a picture of the sound cart.
Cool. Yeah, that's coming along nicely. I spent 12 hours yesterday just running cable, making custom cables. It's all DC powered cart. All the ins are done. I have to still route all of the outputs from the mixer and cable management and absolute insanity. So much work. But at least once it's built, I roll it in, plug it in, put the antennas up, and I'm good to go instead of rolling in my old cart and then pulling a bunch of cases out and then connecting all of the pieces together every time and running a UPS for power. All that's done.
Wicked. I'm sure that as you get to use this more and as the show goes on,
I've only turned it on.
Okay. We'll talk about, various things like wireless mics in more depth in another episode.
Yep. I've got a lot more experience on that.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you're one of the audio listeners, let us know what you think. Leave us a comment. If you like the show, consider buying us a coffee. There'll be a link in the show notes at homerecordingshow.com. See you guys in 2 weeks.